What's up, everybody? Tim Conley here, and I got a question for you. Do you want to maximize the revenue in your agency? That's a silly question, isn't it? Well, I'm going to share with you the 3 areas where you can increase your revenue if you do it right. It's called IOO. Let's check it. Before I even get started on what IOO is, I just gotta say, I've been trying to improve this whole video setup. I bought a new camera, got a new mic, it was sitting way over there, but now, is that audio crispy? Oh, it's gotta be good. Still trying to figure out the lighting, testing a new lighting thing. So let me know in the comments. Do you like the audio? Is it sounding crispy? Do you like the lighting? Does it look kind of cool? Does it give it a kind of a more moody, cinematic look? Or am I just overdoing it? Just let me know in the comments. I've got thick skin. I can handle it. All right, let's get right into what IOO stands for. One of the things I want to do with this channel is to share things that no one really talks about in how to properly run an agency, how to actually make the most money, have the happiest clients, and generate a great life for yourself. So one of those things is IOO. It's called inputs, outputs, and outcomes. These are literally the 3 things that we sell in an agency. Most people are stuck at the inputs level. So let me define what inputs are. Inputs are generally just time and materials when it comes to an agency. Time's obvious. You put in a certain amount of time and you get paid for that time. Materials could be your equipment rentals. So if you needed to go out and get a new lens, you need to get a camera, you need to get anything that needs to be rented, even your own computers. You should actually be renting out any equipment that you use to each of your clients. If you're not directly renting it out to your clients like a production studio does, then you make sure that in the billing, it's covered. You don't have to make it a line item, but you just make sure that you charge it enough to be able to cover all your equipment because, well, eventually you're going to replace it all. So you need to recoup that investment and then also buy new equipment. It happens. That's why camera, new mic, got to invest in these things. You also have to bill for those things so that you can invest in those things. Got it? Good. So that's what time and materials are. Most freelancers do this. They just come in and say, here's my labor. I'm going to sell that to you. And I don't care what kind of freelancer. It could be a graphic designer, could be a web designer, could be a coder, someone who's developing software, someone who's doing IT services. It doesn't matter what type of freelancer you are, you're probably billing some form of time and materials. You're billing for your inputs. And this is the lowest level of running an agency. Later, I will cover why and when you really should be doing time and materials, when you should actually sell your inputs. There is a time for it. Don't listen to people who say you should never sell your inputs, your time and materials, because there is a place for it. We'll get into that in a bit. When you start moving up from freelancer to self-employed agency owner, so it's you and you've got a small team, you've probably moved over to project fees. So in this case, you're probably selling your outputs. Outputs are the things that the project will create. So you're a web designer. An output is a website. I have created a website for you. Are you happy with it? You're happy with it? Great. I'm happy that you're happy. I sold you an output. It could be if you're doing SEO and you say, well, part of what we do is we're going to create 4 blog posts for you. We're going to get you 50 backlinks. We're going to do these things. You're selling the output of what you do. If you are coding for someone and you say, I'm going to build you this app, the output is the app itself. And then it's just a matter of, are you happy with this app or not? And then go back, do some revisions. Boom, done. That's your output. And this is a step above selling your time. In a little bit, I'm going to share when and why you should sell your outputs. There is a time and place for it in all agencies. But now let's get to the third one, which is outcomes. Selling your outcomes are the scariest part of doing an agency. A lot of people stick with doing just selling outcomes because it's closer to what the client wants, but doesn't have any of the risk. So if you start selling your outcomes, then you're going to start taking on risk for your client. And this is where the big money comes in. This is where people are willing to pay you based on the value you provide. This is when you can have margins that are 10, 20x your actual costs. Because if you can get into being able to provide the outcome your clients desire, and those desires are worth a lot of money to them, you can get a significant fee. This one is where I think all agencies should focus their energy. It's on value-based pricing. I'm going to make a playlist. It'll be linked right up here and down inside the description so that you can go check out all the videos that I'm making on how to do value-based pricing, how to be able to increase your rates from doing the inputs and the outputs to being able to properly sell outcomes and get the highest fee and still have the happiest clients. So let's go into an example of what an outcome is. So I mentioned like doing SEO. If you are doing SEO for someone, a output is, say, the backlinks. But why does a client want those backlinks? Is it because they want rankings? Well, no, that is an outcome, but it's not what they really want. Do they want traffic? Well, that is an outcome also, but they don't really want that either. What do they want is paying customers. Ultimately, that's what they're after. When they're trying to rank, they're trying to get paying customers. So your job is to find a way to get them what they're after with the service that you have, if it's even possible. If it's not possible, then you either sell them another service, you refer them to someone else who can do it, or you function as like a full service agency, bill them for it, and then you go outsource to somebody who can get them the outcome that they're after. These are all acceptable ways of being able to deliver an outcome because your client doesn't care who's doing the labor, they just want the outcome. So you give it to them. And this is really scary, especially if you're new. You're going to be very scared. And the thing is I've worked with multi-million-dollar agencies and they're scared of selling those outcomes. They would rather stick with the outputs because it's easier, it's more controllable. They get scared to offer to their clients that they'll help them achieve what the client actually wants. In this case, it would be revenue growth. The client really wants revenue growth, and they could step up and do that. And this is where those agencies willing to risk of going from output to outcome can charge far more, because they are someone willing to put skin in the game, to take on risk in relation to the client's own business. They're willing to take that risk. They get a far higher reward. Let's recap. Inputs, time and materials. Outputs, those are the deliverables, the things that you promise. 3, outcomes. This is where your client is after a particular desire. They want a result, and your service gets them the result, not doing labor that is a piece of that result, but actually the result itself. Outcomes are what your clients really want. That means you're going to have to go above and beyond to be able to provide them the thing that they really want, not your deliverables, but the thing that they really desire. When you're getting them what they really want, you get paid a far higher fee. It actually gets completely divorced from the amount of work that goes into it, because they're not paying you for labor, they're paying you for results. And this is where you can start making far more money. You can start billing hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars, where you're doing this and you may only have tens of thousands of dollars in time and materials into this project. So you end up with a 20, 30x multiple margin that makes your business extremely profitable. That's where you should focus your main client engagements. Now let's keep working backwards. Outcomes. There is a time and place to do outcomes. There are certain projects. After you have developed your primary engagement with your client, you will have things that make sense to sell as a deliverable. Strategy and diagnosis. Those things at the very beginning of a client engagement are very important, and they should be a deliverable-based fee. You should charge them, hey, I'm going to do this project for you. I'm going to analyze your company, and I'm going to find out what really needs to happen, and then I will make recommendations to you. That is a great place for selling a deliverable. Now, when should you sell your time? First, don't sell your time. You're an agency owner. Don't sell your time. Sell the time of the people who work in your company or that you contract. Don't sell your time, ever. That is not, just don't do that, okay? All right, here's when you should sell time. It typically comes in a recurring revenue service. So sometimes a recurring revenue service is based on deliverables, but then there's other times when you are doing augmented labor. And this happens in the IT world all the time, where they send a coder, a developer, a software analyst, an engineer, they send them to a client site, and then that person sits down and does labor. That is always billed on an hourly rate. What I want you to do is go through this video again and figure out where you're going to sell inputs, when you're going to sell outputs, and when you're going to sell outcomes. If you focus on being able to do all three things in your agency, you will have a very profitable, smooth running agency that makes your clients very happy because you take care of all three needs that they have in their business. Because they do have a need for your time and materials. They do have a need for your deliverables. And they definitely have a need for the outcomes that you can bring to their company. All right, let's get this thing over with. If you enjoyed this video, if you got value from this video, like, subscribe, share, do all the socials, and I'll see you in the next video.